In 2005, my wife and I, we'd been taking our son to a daycare, and she announced to us that she was going to be closing down. My wife suggested we start our own. It sounded like a weird idea, like a, hey, what if we open a restaurant? You know, I'm really good at making tacos. And you never think that you're going to actually open a restaurant and serve just tacos. But the more we talked about it, the more she looked into it, we realized that this is actually a really viable plan, and we decided to give it a shot. And in January of 2006, I quit my job and we went full-time home daycare. And we did the daycare thing for a little over 11 years. And that's quite a bit longer than I think either of us anticipated doing. We started to find kind of a calling elsewhere. We had felt for a while that our gifts were not being really used to their fullest, so we decided that it was time to close the daycare. We didn't have a game plan. All I knew was that whatever I did, I didn't want to work with kids anymore. I needed a break from kids. And my wife one day was taking a walk, and she happened to walk past the transportation center, the Northwest Allen Transportation Center. So she texted me, "Have you ever considered being a bus driver?" And I texted back, "That's funny," and thought that was the end of it. But then when she got home, she said, "I want to talk more about you being a bus driver." I didn't remember that actually being a conversation. It was a two-part text, her saying, "Do it," and I said no. She really started pushing for me to be a bus driver, and I said, "But remember how I didn't want to work with kids? I'm pretty sure there are kids on those buses. I mean, I've seen them when they drive by, the kids with their little faces pressed up against the window. I know they're on there." So that is no. She did not hear a word from me at all. Instead, she went to some of our friends and said, "Do you think Matt would make a good bus driver?" And they got very excited and said, "Absolutely, yes, here." And they started sending her links to online applications for NACS bus drivers and started saying, "Hey, I'm going to talk to my boss. I'm going to get his name floating around." And I was still like, I said no. And I remember that night going to our small group, and I sat down, and I was with Brad, and I was with Mark Bloom, and Jason Stevens, and Craig Morvac, and I said, "Guys, I need some help. My wife is trying to get me to be a bus driver, like a school bus driver, like for schools with kids and a bus. And you guys got to go to her right now and tell her that that's a horrible idea." And they did not help at all. They stayed out of it, which I did not appreciate at the time. So I went through the process of going through the interview. I filled out the application. I made every effort to basically advertise myself as the wrong guy for the job. In the section of the application that says, "Do you have any special skills that might help?" I said, "I kind of look like a pirate, not sure if that helps." I thought they're going to see that and be like, okay, no. I don't know if they saw that, but if they did, they thought that's actually helpful. Because I went in for an interview. I wore my nicest gray t-shirt. That was literally the only nice clothes that I had. After 11 years of daycare, everything else had stains on it. I went in and my jeans had holes. I tried really hard to just be like, I'm not a good hire, guys. I'm really not. And yeah, I underestimated how desperate they were, and I got snatched right up, and they started training me. And the very first time that I sat down behind that wheel with kids on the bus, I still was not wanting to do it. I still did not want to do it. But I looked down, and right next to the transmission lever, there's this little microphone that operates the internal intercom. And the minute I pushed that button, "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the bus. I will be your bus driver today." And I was in love. I absolutely fell in love with it. Once I started treating this like a blessing, I realized that this is what I have been training for over a decade. God had been preparing me for this job since I was working in that factory. You know, lots of beeps, lots of loud noises. I switched over to the daycare, lots of screaming kids, lots of weird smells. And I will tell you what, 20 minutes on a school bus with 60 rowdy kids is nothing. I used to do 10 hours a day with 12 kids pooping and I have cleaned diarrhea out of a child's armpits. I can take whatever that bus throws at me. It is so clear to me that this was what God had been preparing me for. No one's really impressed when you're like, I drive a school bus. But it is what I was made for, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I have since started training other drivers, just trying to make sure that they understand what their role is, not just to steer the bus, but to actually care about these kids. Because in the mornings, a lot of these kids, they come to the bus stop and you can see it on their face. They had a rough morning. I've got them for maybe 20 minutes. And that is 20 minutes where I get to cultivate an environment of peace and of calm and of acceptance. I have no expectations of them. They can sit quietly. They can talk to me. They can laugh. They can sing. I do have a couple of kids who don't like Christmas music, so they don't enjoy the bus as much as some of the others. There's nothing I can do about that. But I make sure that there is no stress if I can manage it. And even when I have to correct their behavior, I make sure that they know that that does not change the way I feel about them. So when I'm training new drivers, I make sure that, when they finally sit down behind the wheel and they have a busload of kids behind them, they're prepared to drive the bus, but they're also prepared to invest in those kids. And it's such an incredible opportunity because this is a gap in their day that most people don't think about. Kids don't need to like you, but if they know that you like them, it really makes a difference in their day. Knowing that they have value apart from their grades, apart from their athletic abilities, apart from their style, as long as they know that, hey, there's this one weird adult who tells dumb jokes and sings Christmas songs all the time, and he seems to like me. That's okay. That's one person throughout their day that they don't have to impress, and I get to give them that, and it's a lot of fun. If you're struggling to find your place in the world, figure out what it is that you're supposed to do. Callings don't always come with a salary, so you might find yourself in a situation where the thing you're supposed to do is just go out and love people with whatever skills you have. If you're a basketball player, go find someone who doesn't have anyone to play basketball with and play basketball with them. If you're a singer, sing wherever you are. It may even come down to you having to do something that you are not enthusiastic about. You may have to put yourself on a school bus, and you may have to learn all the different parts. You may have to learn all about power steering parts, and if that's the hoop you have to jump through in order to use your gift, then you need to be willing to do that. Don't rule anything out, because sometimes the people around you who are pushing you to do something that you don't want to do know you better than you know yourself, and you have to give them the opportunity to invest in you in that way, because God uses those people to direct us. They can be the current that steers us away from where we thought we wanted to go and take us to where we actually need to be, no matter how much we fight against it.